Good morning students, welcome back to online classes. Today we are going to start the new lesson from your English channel book, Unit 4, Section B, the Lama. So this has been written, this chapter, this story, this piece has been taken from a book written by Deepa Agarwal, and the book name is Caravan to Tibet. So the whole story, the whole piece of prose talks about the life of monastery, life in a monastery, how Buddhists live, how the monks, the lamas live in the monastery, what do they do throughout the day in the monastery, how do they pray, what does the monastery look like from inside. So this is all about this is talked about in this lesson. So do you know who the Lama is? Historically, if we see in history books, lamas are the spiritual master, right? The head of the monastery. But actually, nowadays, who are they? They are the teachers in Buddhism. So, the position of the Lama is given so much respect, so much honor is associated with the position of Lama, because he is the head of the monastery. He is their spiritual guide, spiritual teacher. So let's read the chapter. Tibet is nicknamed the roof of the world because it stands 3 miles above sea level. 3 miles means 5 kilometers above sea level, and harbors 2 of the highest Himalayan peaks, K2 and Mount Everest. K2 is the Kanchenjunga, and Mount Everest, the highest peaks in the world, they are situated in Tibet. Wouldn't it be exciting if we could take a short journey into Tibet? So, what are we waiting for? Let's start. The monastery was a cluster of buildings surrounded by a wall clinging to the slope of the hill. Built of sun-dried bricks, the ends of its wooden roofs turned upward. 2 fierce-looking statues of lions guarded the gates. Debu entered with mingled hope and curiosity. Now, children, there are certain characters in this story, and we need to remember the names of all the characters, and also we need to find out, we have to look into the relationship, the connection between all the characters. So the first character that we get here is Debu. So he's an Indian who has come from India to Tibet, and he has some certain questions in his mind. He wanted to ask those questions to Lama, and here he has also come for due to his curiosity to see the monastery. How does the monastery look like? So now the writer starts by explaining about the monastery. Monastery is the building where monks and saints live. Was a cluster of buildings. Cluster means group of buildings surrounded by walls, by a wall clinging to the slope. Clinging means standing very close to the slope of the hill. It was built of sun-dried bricks. The ends of its wooden roofs turned upward, and there were 2 fierce means violent, very aggressive looking statues of lions. They were guarding the gates, and Debu entered the monastery with mingled hope. Mingled means mixed hope and curiosity, hope to get his questions answered, and curiosity to know more about the monks and their lives and the monastery itself. So let's read on. We pay our respects to lamas, Kalyan Singh whispered. Now there is another character we come to know about, that is Kalyan Singh. He is actually, he knows about the monastery. He lives there in Tibet itself, I think. So, they are extremely powerful. We take care not to displease them. So, he tells Debu that we pay our respects to lamas and they are very powerful. They are powerful in the terms of spiritual powerfulness. They are powerful because of their spiritual growth. They are so high spiritually, so that gives them power. So we do not care to we do not displease them. We don't make them unhappy. This Kalyan Singh tells to Debu. But Debu was busy taking in new sights. The monastery was unlike any place of worship he had ever seen before. Prayer cylinders, flags and yak tails were placed here and there. They walked down the courtyard into a veranda with the large cloth frill running round the roof. It had red pillars and an ornate prayer wheel, taller than Debu himself. Sonu spun it, then folded his hands, raised them to his head and prostrated himself on the ground. They followed suit and then entered through a multicolored door with bright stripes of cloth hung all over. The scent of burning incense and butter lamps was the same as in temples back home. He could hear a regular droning sound coming from inside along with the sound of the gongs. Now here the writer describes the sights, how does the monastery look from inside and from outside. So when Debu entered the monastery, he was very much surprised and he was amazed at the paintings, the intricacies, the decorations which were done on the walls, on the pillars of the monastery. So it was nothing like the monastery was nothing like any place of worship he had ever seen in India. It was completely different from all those places of worship like temples, gurudwaras or churches. So he was really surprised. So there he saw prayer cylinders which were taller than him. There were flags. They were hanging all around the courtyard. There were yak tails were placed here and there. And as they walked inside the courtyard, inside the monastery, they found a large cloth frill that was running around on all four sides. The red pillars, there were red pillars. They were decorated, ornate means decorated. The prayer wheel was taller than Debu himself. Now there is another character, the third character which we come to know about is Sonu. He also knows about the monastery, the ways of worship over there. So he spun that prayer wheel. Then he folded his hands and just prostrated means lie flat on the ground to pay your respect, to offer your prayers. So he lied down flat on the ground, and others, there are many people in the group, and they all of them followed suit means copied him. did the same way. And then they entered through a multicolored door with bright strips of cloth hung over it. The scent of burning incense. Incense is the smell of burning agarbatti and butter lamps. The butter lamps are the diyas. दिया, जैसे हम मंदिर में दिया जगाते हैं और अगरबत्ती लगाते हैं, सेम वे इन द मोनास्ट्री Debu saw there was a smell of incense burning and the butter lamps were burning inside the monastery, where actual place where they worship, the monks worship. He could hear the regular droning sound. Droning means humming sound of chanting their mantras coming from inside, and along with it the sound of gong was also coming. Gong is a kind of instrument which monks use for worship. जैसे हम मंदिर में भजन गाते वक्त बहुत सारे म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को यूज करते हैं, monks also use these musical instruments called gongs. It is the monks chanting their prayers, Sonam Darka said. Now the fourth character we come to know is Sonam Darka. She also knows about the ways and the process of worship in a monastery. Debu entered the dark audience chamber hesitantly, overawed by the presence of shaven-headed monks in the yellow robes, darkly gleaming images lit by rows and rows of lamps. All-merciful Buddha was seated in the center, surrounded by other deities. One of them captured Debu's gaze. She had many arms like Hindu goddess Kali and was slaying a demon. There were handbells too, like the ones they used in worship. So now as Debu entered the chamber where they worship, he entered the chamber hesitantly, not very confirmly, not very strongly. He was hesitant to go inside, but overawed by the presence of the shaven-headed monks. But he was impressed by the presence of shaven-headed monks. Shaven-headed means bald, completely ganje. They were wearing yellow robes. Robes are the gowns, long gowns. And they were sitting inside darkly gleaming images, lit by gleaming images. Gleaming means shining. Pictures were, they were shining, the dark images were shining due to the rows and rows of lamps which were burning. And the statue of Buddha, there was a big statue of Buddha in the center of the room. And the adjective used for Buddha is all-merciful. And he was surrounded by other gods. On one side, one of those gods captured Debu's gaze, and she had because she had many arms like Hindu goddess Kali, and she was also, that god was also, that deity was also killing a demon. Demon means evil being. And there were handbells also like the ones they use for worship. His eyes rose to the walls painted with the scenes from Buddha's life. Then his thoughts pulled him back. Now, his eyes rose to the wall. His eyes went to the walls which were painted with the scenes from Buddha's life. And then his thoughts brought him back to the reality. Could he dare ask the Lama about his father? Suddenly he felt cold. His father had told him that they always offered gifts to the Lamas, and he had not brought anything. Suppose the Lama felt slighted, got annoyed. Debu tried to fall back and disappear in the group. Now, he wanted to ask, Debu had, I told you in the beginning that he had certain questions in his mind. He wanted answers for those questions. And the question was that he wanted to know about his father. And suddenly then he remembered that his father had told him, his father had already been to Tibet, to these monasteries. And so he told Debu that whenever you come to meet a Lama, you need to offer something. You need to offer gifts to the Lamas. And Debu realized that he had not brought any gift for him. So that's why he tried to move back in the group. He tried to push back and move back in the group, as he thought that Lama would be he would feel disrespected and he would be annoyed. He would get angry with Debu. "Come forward," Kalyan Singh whispered, tugging at his elbow. "See, that's him, the head Lama of this monastery." Now, Kalyan Singh, when he saw that Debu was moving backward going towards the back of the group, he was trying to avoid the Lama. He called him forward, and he just pulled his elbow and showed him that, see over there, that is the head of the monastery, the head Lama. So that's all in this video, students, for now. I hope you have understood the chapter well. Give it a reading, nice reading. You will surely understand. If still you have any problem, message me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.